Hey, welcome back to Billy Mac Makes. If you want to see how I can turn this beautiful, colorful, exotic hardwood into one of the coolest Tetris cutting boards you've ever seen, stick around. Let me start by giving a huge thanks to Dog for putting that build together for me. I really knew I wanted to create these pieces and then have the animation of an amazing level 19 build, but I wanted the board to be mostly filled with Tetris shapes and not the empty space, but everything is falling so quickly on level 19. To get the pieces over to the left and build really, really high would take someone with extreme talent. And so I reached out to the best player in the world, and he graciously agreed to help me out for this project. So thank you, Dog, for being such an amazing champion. So I'll take you through a couple of the steps that I used to create these pieces, because as you can see, the different Tetris levels have different colors. So I went with what would be the easiest to approximate with wood, which was the level 9 or 19 colors. So I'm ripping these strips down into 3/4 inch by 3/4 inch square strips. So this Pauduk will be my J and my S pieces. The maple will make my T, O, and long bars. And my L's and Z's, they will be made with Yellowheart from Brazil. So my first step with the Yellowheart and the Pauduk was to glue these square strips together in pairs. And once I had those pairs, I could create my S's and Z's and my L's and J's with those pairs, as you can see in my little SketchUp animations. Here I'm just cleaning my Pauduk with some acetone because it's a very oily wood. And so you want to remove that oil before applying your glue and quickly glue it and clamp it after that acetone is dried off. Running the pieces through a quick pass on my drum sander, and now they are ready to be glued up. Now, to create this S, I want the offset to be perfect, and so I created some spacers out of some scrap plywood and wrapped them in packing tape so that the glue wouldn't stick to them, and they are exact 3/4 inch by 3/4 inch squares with the tape on them, and I was able to put them underneath to achieve that exact offset so that these pieces would be perfect and they would be able to stack together. And there we see all 7 of the completed Tetris shapes. Of course, they're long, and I will have to cut them down with my table saw sled, but they are ready to go. Swapping out my ripping blade for a crosscut blade and a little blade stabilizer to get the cleanest cut possible. And I have a little stop block set up there so that I can get a consistent height for all of these Tetris pieces that I'm creating. You can see there that one of my spacer blocks I'm actually using in behind to prevent tear out when cutting the T piece and cutting these S's and Z pieces. For the L's and J's, I was actually able to nest them together, as you can see, and prevented the tear out. And then, of course, my children had to play with the pieces. Oh man. It's great when they come visit me in the shop. And this is a beautiful piece of Wenge. I am going to cut some strips that are exactly 3/4 of an inch thick, and they will become the background that wasn't filled with Tetris blocks. And that's why I was so fortunate to have Dog do the build for me, because if I had tried to build on level 19, it would have been mostly Wenge, and that wouldn't have been very interesting. I was lucky enough to find this Tetris community a couple years ago, and I have to say I'm so impressed with just how amazing it is and how supportive it is. You don't have to be an amazing player like Dog to be a part of this community. There is a wonderful competition called Classic Tetris Monthly, or CTM. I'll link everything down below. And it's run by arguably one of the most important men in the online Tetris world, Mr. Van Dweller, and it is awesome. It has, of course, all these world champions, Joseph and Dog, but it also has opportunities for hacks like me to get in there and play, and there is a competition, different tiers and groups for players of all skill levels. So if you think you might want to give your hand a try at this, you know what? It is accessible and it's a lot of fun playing a lot of online Tetris, streaming your games on Twitch and having some fun. So here I'm really joining my worlds together like George Costanza, allowing my worlds to collide, my woodworking passion and my Tetris video game playing. So here you see I'm just putting a border around my board. It's really starting to take shape, using the pattern that Dog built for me, and I'm going to glue all that up. Unfortunately, I lost the footage of the glue up, but bang, there it is. It's glued, so I can take it out of the clamps and sand it down. Sanding end grain, and that's what this is here. All the wood is facing up, so you're staring at the end grain. It's much better for knives to be cutting on top of end grain, but it's really difficult to sand. So here I'm so fortunate to have a drum sander, and I am able to give that many passes through and get that surface really flat and consistent. So I'm just routing in some handles on either end so it makes it a little bit easier to grab. And this is a water pop. It's important if you're making a cutting board to wet the board down after you've gotten close to your final sand, and it just raises the grain, and then you can sand that back down again, so that when you give it a wipe down and wash, it doesn't make the board fuzzy at that point.